successful MISL season ever. On the field, the Spirit compiled a 32-16 record. They averaged 8,278 fans per home game, an increase of 53% over the previous season. With a returning veteran cast of players, which includes 4 who scored 30 goals or more, and 4 valuable off-season additions, the Spirit figure once again to be in the thick of the MISL race for this season.
This year's team will be harder this season. There's stronger teams of San Diego, Chicago, so it should be harder, but we've got a good team. The 3-4 additions that we've got has strengthened the team. Practice has been very good, but it's strengthened the team. You'll find out this year when we start playing.
A very pleasant good evening, and it's almost time for another season of Spirit Soccer. KDKA Television very happy to be the TV home of the Spirit again for the coming season. I'm John Sanders, working with me again on the games, the voice of the Pittsburgh Spirit, John Paul Della Camera. 83-84 was great. The Spirit won 32, they lost 16. Second best record in the league. I think the only damper would be the fact that Cleveland defeated the Spirit in the playoffs, but if you take last year as a springboard, we can only look forward to good things in the coming season.
John, the season did end on a rather disappointing note. That's because the Pittsburgh Spirit were hoping to advance farther in the Major Indoor Soccer League playoffs. This season, a new challenge for the Pittsburgh Spirit. Several key veterans are returning, plus several impressive newcomers to the Pittsburgh Spirit team.
John Paul, indeed it was an exciting season for the Pittsburgh Spirit. They're 5th in the MISL, and maybe the most exciting season ever for the team. Last season began with the Pittsburgh Spirit trying to rebound from a somewhat disappointing 24-20 previous year. Hopes were high at the beginning, due in large part to the acquisition of some strong players, namely Ian Sibbies, Z. Kapka, and goalkeeper Peter Modlik from Poland, Dave HOGGAN, and a young American defender named Kevin Marr. But the Spirit struggled to a 3-2 start, and then in Game 6, the bottom could have fallen out for the Spirit. Leading 5-1 in the fourth quarter, the Spirit allowed the Kansas City Comets back in the game. They eventually tied it. This Mark Fredrickson goal at 9-12 in overtime dealt the Spirit a devastating 6-5 loss, and it prompted General Manager Chris Wright to speak of an intangible the team seemed to be lacking.
We knew that something was missing. That killer instinct, the eye of the tiger.
That seemed to be what the Spirit needed as they went on to win 10 of their next 13 games en route to the team's best record ever in the MISL. Also part of last year's team was an exciting 23-year-old Yugoslavian forward named Drago Dumbovic. He started the season in obscurity, but by mid-season had the fans chanting, "Drago, Drago." Dumbovic went on to score 37 goals, twice scoring 5 in a game, and 4 other multiple-goal games. He spent but 1 season with the Spirit, winning the hearts of the Spirit faithful. But this year is another year, and the Spirit have added even more strength. We'll be back to take a look at this year's Pittsburgh Spirit right after this.
John Signan.
The best record they've ever had in a regular season in the MISL. I think the good news as we look ahead to the coming season is that most of the players from that team are back for this year.
Well, John, it starts out in goal where Peter Modlik and Joe Papaleo each ranked among the top 5 goalkeepers in the Major Indoor Soccer League. You had a real strong defense. It was led by all-stars like John O'Hara and Dave McKenzie. And up front, there were 5 Spirit players who scored 30 or more goals each last season.
Perhaps the strongest part of this year's Pittsburgh Spirit team is its forward position. Leading the veteran group is the team's #1 scorer from last year, Z. Kapka. Kapka totaled 66 points, netting 30 goals. Along the way, Kapka registered 4 hat tricks. Z had a big finish to last season with 11 points in his last 4 games. The short side of the forward position was fellow countryman Ian Sibbies. Only 5'5", Sibbies led the Spirit in game-winning goals with 7, and he had a streak of 17 straight games of scoring at least 1 point. The amazing thing about Sibby's is his ability to score in a variety of ways from various parts of the field. Another newcomer who had tremendous impact on the Spirit last season was David HOGGAN. After struggling early in the season, HOGGAN came on to score 9 multiple-goal games, and he had 20 multiple-point games. He finished the season as the team's number 4 scorer, 35 goals, 22 assists. But even more impressive with the play of David HOGGAN was his defense, 25 blocked shots over the course of the season. You can be sure that the fans will be hearing a lot from David HOGGAN in the future.
'Cause what he does so well, makes me want to yell. Let's hear it for some more. Let's give the boy a hand. Let's hear it for my baby. You know you gotta understand.
A player who could really have an impact on this team this season, if he stays healthy, is the flashy Brazilian Marcio Leite. In all, Leite missed 23 straight games with an ankle injury last year. But already this preseason, Marcio is showing signs of returning to his flashy form of years past. Even though he played in just 22 games, Leite finished with 5 power play goals, second on the team, and he had 2 game winners. Veteran forward Steve Buttle begins his 4th season with the Spirit. Even though his playing time was limited last year, Buttle managed to score 11 goals in 33 games, including 3 power play goals. He'll add depth for this season. But the inspirational leader of the squad year after year is none other than Paul Child. The 31-year-old veteran of 3 seasons notched 41 goals and 23 assists. For the 3 seasons now, Child has scored 140 goals. That's an average of 46 a year. Last year, he added 9 power play goals, and he became the team's all-time leading goal scorer. But the mark of Paul Child is his famous celebration following a goal he scored. The Spirit set out to strengthen their midfield position this year, and they did just that. However, veteran Greg Ostalchek will return after having his finest season ever as a Spirit player. Greg set up 15 goals with pinpoint accuracy. He also scored 15 of his own. He had 7 multiple-point games. As usual, if Greg can avoid injury, he'll be a valuable part of this team. Another veteran, Bob Vossmeyer, ended up last year as a midfielder after starting the year as a defender. The former Chicago Sting captain did what he does best last year. That's blocking shots, 79 of them to tie John O'Hara. Vossmeyer also was an offensive threat. He scored 10 goals and he had 15 assists. Vossmeyer should be a swingman for this season. Another versatile player is U.S. Olympic performer Erhard Kapp. After signing as a free agent from the New York Cosmos, Kapp scored 4 goals, 2 of them game winners. Kapp can also play defense. George Tiger begins his 3rd season with the Spirit after re-signing. He will add depth to the midfield position for this year. The Spirit also possess a strong defensive core and a veteran one. The leader is a veteran, Dave McKenzie, season number 6 with the Pittsburgh Spirit. Last year, the best ever for his career, especially offensively. He had 15 goals, that's a career high, and 21 assists, another career best. In fact, he became the team's all-time assist leader last season.
I think I fit in a role of scoring the occasional goal and mainly to keep the other team out of our net. You know, last year between the goalies, the defense, and the forwards defending, I think we were the 3rd best in the league, and you know, if we can continue at that type of a pace, I think, you know, I'll have fulfilled my job, because my job basically is to keep the ball out of the net, but that's not all you do in this league. You have to be able to score as well.
The status of team captain is cloudy. John O'Hara has been fighting injuries from last season. His 79 blocked shots last year gave him a team-high 152 for his career. Last year, he played in his 4th consecutive league All-Star game. His presence will be needed this year.
My role will be pretty much the same as it's always been. Play defense, captain the team, I suppose. just trying to demonstrate some leadership on and off the field.
All 23-year-old Kevin Marr did was to be named MISL Rookie of the Year. He's an excellent penalty killer. He usually gets the task of marking the opposition's top player.
Hopefully I'll pick up where I left off last year. I'm still learning the game, a lot of the skills and, just the way to play with different players and things like that. So I hope to pick up, right where I left off and contribute more offensively, or at least more consistently offensively than I did last year.
Veteran Adam Topolsky scored 13 goals on his cannon right foot. Adam, as usual, is one of the team leaders in shots on goal. Last season, he had 164. Veteran defender Paul Toomey must shake his nagging injuries to help the Spirit this season. However, the group of veteran defenders is a big plus for the two Spirit goalkeepers. Peter Modlik, in just his first MISL season, finished the year in goals against with an average of 4.07. His hot stretch was between the end of December and the beginning of February, when he won 6 straight games. His counterpart in goal, Joe Papaleo, he finished 4th in the MISL with a 4.12 goals against average. The former Syracuse All-American seems to thrive in front of large crowds.
I was happy with last season, but you got to get better every year. And I feel that Peter and myself both let in some goals that, we both will say that first year experience, lack of experience. So this year we're going to try to cut those goals down, and we'll even have a better record if we can do that.
That's the veteran squad returning for the upcoming season. We'll be back to look at the newcomers right after this. Veteran Charlie Green, who at one time played with Cleveland and most recently with Phoenix. Then there was a trip to Europe. The Pittsburgh Spirit added 3 players as a result of that trip. 2 of them are midfielders who also swing different directions. David McNiven can play forward as well. Gordon Smith also plays defense. Then there's Roger Winter, who happens to be the youngest player ever signed by the Spirit. He was 18 then. He is now 19 years old. How do you think these 4 are going to help the team this year?
John, the Spirit will be a bigger team, a faster team, a more physical team with the addition of these newcomers. 3 of whom do not have major indoor soccer league experience, but like other players in the past, they're expected to learn and come up big. The one player with a lot of major indoor soccer league experience who could really help out is Charlie Green.
Green had his best MISL season ever last year when he scored 28 goals and added 20 assists while playing for the now defunct Phoenix Pride. In fact, Green was instrumental in the 2 victories they had over the Spirit last year. This one, an overtime goal to give Phoenix a 3-2 victory in Pittsburgh.
And coming in here and playing against the team, it was always a strong team. And I think probably even a little stronger now since I made some changes over the summer.
From the Spirit front office, General Manager Chris Wright, head coach John Kowalski, and assistant coach Mickey Cave went on an English tour this past summer, and they came home with a trio of new players. Veteran midfielder and forward David McNiven is a former Leeds and Bradford City player in England. McNiven is noted for his speed and dangerous shot with either foot. The second English player to come to the Spirit is the youngest player ever signed by the Spirit at age 18. It's Roger Winter. He possesses outstanding speed and ball control. The third player signed from the English trials conducted by Wright, Kowalski, and Cave was another midfielder defender, Gordon Smith. He's a veteran of English play who is equally strong at either position.
As you know, we got beat up a little bit in the playoffs, and we were a better team than Cleveland, but we didn't have enough physical strength. So this year I decided to keep the same strength as the tactics go, the skill of the players, but beef it up just a little bit and bring in some stronger players. And that's why I brought in players like McNiven and Smith.
And the final acquisition from abroad was Roger Winter, a young 18-year-old player from Millwall. Once again, a very, very quick player, tremendous skills, very, very good in and around the goal area. And he will do well over an elongated period of time once he's settled in and gets to know the indoor game.
4 new teams have moved over from the NASL to play in the MISL this coming season. That means new realignment as far as the regular season is concerned and a new playoff format. There will once again be 2 divisions of the MISL this season. The Spirit will play in the East, along with fellow rivals, MISL champion Baltimore Blast, the team's biggest and most bitter rival, the Cleveland Force, and a transfer from the Western Division, the St. Louis Steamers, who opposed the Blast in the MISL Championship Finals last spring. Joining the division this season are 3 of the 4 new NASL teams, the New York Cosmos, the Chicago Sting, and the Minnesota Strikers. The Western Division will be comprised of 4 returning teams: the Kansas City Comets, the Wichita Wings, the Tacoma Stars, and the Los Angeles Lasers. Joining them this season will be the expansion Dallas Sidekicks, the transplanted Las Vegas Americans, who moved from Memphis, and the NASL's San Diego Sockers. Each team will play a 48-game schedule, playing its divisional opponents 4 times and opposing clubs 3 and in some cases 4 times. The top 3 teams from each division will automatically qualify for the playoffs, while 4 wildcard teams will be awarded playoff berths based upon the best records. These 4 teams will compete in a best-of-3 mini-series. The 2 winners will then join the playoff format, with the top playing the bottom, and so forth in a 5-game quarterfinal format. The winners advance to a 5-game semifinal series, and then the winners there will advance to a best-of-7 championship for the MISL. On paper, the Eastern Division looks to be the stronger of the 2 for the upcoming season. When you speak of rivals, you have to begin with the Cleveland Force. They are led, as usual, by veterans such as Kai Haskavy. Haskavy scored 7 regular season goals and 2 playoff goals against the Spirit last season. And for his career, Haskavy has scored 165 times and a total of 323 points. Veteran Keith Furphy has always been a thorn in the side of the Spirit. He scored 4 times against the Spirit in the regular season last year. For his career, Furphy has totaled 145 goals and 228 points. The third big member of the scoring bunch for the Force is Craig Allen. Last season, 49 goals. He now has 124 for his career. Goalkeeper Chris Sobieski, who came to the Force in exchange for midfielder Luis Alberto, had an outstanding season last year. Goals against average was 4.45. Cleveland and Pittsburgh matched up so well last season that the 2 clubs split the 6 regular season games, and 4 of those games went into overtime, 1 into a shootout. This year should be no different. The Baltimore Blast gave the Spirit as much trouble as anyone last year, splitting the regular season at 3 games apiece. 5 of the 6 ended up being separated by only 1 goal. The key people on this team are the veteran Stan Stamenkovic. He had 34 goals and 63 assists. He was named